If we don't learn anything else from this episode of Hijack, veterinarians can do whatever they put their minds to. Hello, everyone. Terrence here with Hollywood Already Did It. If you haven't already, go ahead, like, share, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, ring that bell below. Anytime we have something, you will be among the first to know. Episode 4 of Hijack is here. It is called Switch, and safe to say, we're now cooking with some grease. This is now starting to feel a lot like the show that I remember from season 1, where there's a little bit of intensity. You never know what is happening. Characters are acting and doing motivations that you believe that those characters were doing or would do. Sam feels like Sam now. And now we have a clearer idea of some of the passengers and some of the players that are on this train. I will say, by the end of this episode, though, you're going to want to strangle May and be like, "Hey, I'm going to need you to just sit the hell down somewhere because I'm going to go on a limb here and say this now. She's going to die before this season ends because she keeps pushing, stepping. She's a habitual line stepper. She keeps stepping over that line, and yeah, I don't think it's just going to end well for her at all. But let's talk about the episode. Episode begins with Sam. The power's back on. The train's moving. Sam calls Clara and is like, "Hey, Clara, about that John Bailey Brown. I need him to come down here. I need to see him immediately." And based on the orders that Winter gives Clara, she's like, "Yeah, we can go ahead and do that. We'll go ahead and get him down there for you." It seems like cool, but don't try anything now because, as you can see, I've already killed the man. So he's saying that he is the person that disposed of Freddy. He's the reason why he does this. One, to sort of keep an upper hand because look, they were ready to come down there and storm that train immediately because they thought Sam was full of you know what. And so now that a body has provided, they're now like, okay, hold on, something's off here. Let's back up because this guy might be more dangerous than we originally thought. Now, while they think he's the one that's been killing, clearly Sam and Otto know that somebody on that train is a killer, and they have to go about trying to suss out and figure out who that person is. So Sam tells provides to the passengers of the train the ruse. He lives in it there as if he's the true hijacker and says, "Look, there's a bomb on board. I put a bomb on board. There's a bomb on board," and lets the folks believe that he's the one behind it. All of them believe they don't know him. They don't know him from a hole in the wall, except for May. May is like, "I don't think you did it, Sam. I don't believe you." And she tries to play the Good Samaritan for the majority of this episode. And for this episode, it works out for her. So Sam makes his way through the train uh, thanks to a message from Otto, because Otto kind of backs him up and is like, "Hey, look, this man's the he's got us under hostage. He's a dangerous man. Don't f with this dude." On the outside, there's some political back and forth happening among branches of different military and professional and police divisions between Berlin security and police. There's a lot of red tape happening about who's got the rights and true rights to John Bailey Brown. And so Winter is overriding Faber, who had him in basically a safe house so they can move him to prosecute him in Britain. But after the dead body, Winter is calling rank. It's like, nope, there's a dead person in my district, my division, my stuff. So I'm gonna need John Bailey Brown handed over to me. Um, and so she's like, I don't want to lose anybody else. And now she's of the belief that Sam is a dangerous person, and like they need to do what is necessary to provide him what it is he needs to sort of calm down. Faber is kind of like, I don't, even though we have this dead body here and I looked at it and I saw it, I still don't believe Sam is the person who did this. Like something's not adding up here. There's more to it. But Winter's like, I don't have time to play this game or figure that out. So for now, do give me uh, John Bailey Brown. So Faber goes off quickly to try to kind of do something with John Bailey Brown before Winter sort of makes a political move to get him toward in her services in her hands. So in the main cart where Otto and Sam are, they talked about in the last episode that camera and that it feeds to the hard drive that's in that main cabin with him. That camera is the only thing that saw who it was that actually killed um, Freddy, and so they have to suss out what's on that drive. So Sam takes out the USB drive, but Otto lets him know that like it's encrypted. We're not going to be able to find that out with anybody's laptop that's back there. We're going to need to get somehow this off of the train to go figure this out. Sam's like, got it. Okay. So his brain's thinking. He's trying to figure out what to do next. But he also wants to sort of get a lay of the land of what's back there in the passenger cars. Sam does do something that's very smart, and he plays it off in a way that it looks like he just wants the phones removed, but he also wants to stop any sort of communication going out from this train to anybody who has eyes on Marsha or whatnot. So he has all the people in the train dump their phones outside of the train, like take them and throw them off. He doesn't want any communication. He doesn't want anybody watching any news. He doesn't want any of that. But it's his way of saying, I don't want the person who did kill Freddy to get anything else back out. Like I want to be on a level playing field so that we're not being watched, or anything that we do, if it happens, it doesn't immediately get to them. While he's dropping off phones, he runs into May, and May types on her phone before he continuously throws it out. It's like, I don't think you killed that person. I don't think you did this. Sam kind of stops for a minute and sees him. Is like, cool, and then throws it off because look, at the same time, while he has to put on this ruse that he's the world's most dangerous man, he also needs to make sure that May stays protective, and so she needs to just shut up and let him do what it is that he needs to do to make sure that she stays safe. That's it. She fails to listen to him repeatedly. He tells her a couple times in this episode to like just back the f up, slow down, stop. But she doesn't listen. She keeps like a dog on a bone. She keeps stupid around. She keeps asking questions. She keeps asking people on the train questions, specifically Jess, I got the name of her now, the veterinarian. She's just asking around a lot of questions that she should not be asking. One of the passengers on this train is the dad. The dad who we saw in the first episode, who was struggling to get the baby down the escalator with the stroller and all that stuff, the one that Sam helped. His baby has got asthma. It's an asthmatic baby, and he doesn't have the inhaler on the train because he didn't think he was going to be on the train for this long of a period of time. So the baby named Benji, dad asks like, "Hey, I know what you're doing. Can we get my baby off this train?" And Sam's like, "We'll see what we can do. No promises, but I'll look into it." So he goes back to the front, and his brain is starting to think of like, what's the next piece to do. So what he eventually ends up doing is saying, "Hey, this might be a good way to get this USB drive off the train without the people, whoever's watching me in the back, seeing it, and getting it off so then I can just tell somebody off like, hey, there's a drive in the bottle, look at it, and then tell me who that's the person who kills it." Even if he doesn't get it off in the immediate, he will have that as a, hey, the fact of who actually killed Freddy is there. So if this goes wrong, or if I go up, my name will be cleared because somebody's going to be able to get that drive and see what actually took place here. So it's a good insurance policy for whatever the hell happens on this train. We learned that Marsha's boyfriend is the one who sent Nick. Nick was the guy that was sort of watching him and watching Marsha in that van, which then lets us know immediately that the, that he wasn't the one who sent the photo to Sam's phone about Marsha being watched or being surveilled. Which lets us know that those two people that I called at the very beginning of the episode, something wasn't right. Those two friendly neighbors aren't as friendly as we imagine, and we find that out real quick in this episode. One of the officers, Beck, who's sort of been finding out pieces about Sam and stuff, and doing all these investigations away from the terminal, he looks at some CCTV and he sees the moment when Sam, in the very first episode, got something out of the vending machine and then threw something away and then looked at the camera. That was Sam's way of sort of giving a cue, like, hey, watch what I'm doing because I'm trying to give you a clue as to follow along with this. And so Beck follows that clue. He gets to that train station. He looks into some trash and he looks into the vending machine. And he eventually finds a coaster that is for a pub. I think it's called the Foxhole Pub. And so there's a clue that clearly Sam is trying to direct whoever is doing the investigation towards that. So maybe something there at that pub will help clear up his name or give a little bit more insight as to exactly how deep this goes and what all is happening. Peter Faber tries to move John Bailey Brown out of the safe house. And as he's about to do it, he's got a plane waiting on the jetway to get him out of there. And so, like, let's do this quickly. As he's about to do that, though, Winter pulls rank and gets Murnau to revoke favors, favors papers, and his diplomatic credentials, and basically just says, "Nope, John Bailey's coming with me." And so, one of Faber's men, Lang, decides to continue on to go with John Bailey. It's like, I'll take care of it. Don't know what that means. Don't know if that means you off him or who's on in on what. But basically, Peter's just standing there with his dig in his hand because he got overrode on this, and now it feels like Winter is going to use Bailey Brown as a sort of carrot to dangle in front of Sam to get him to come out a little bit or get off the train enough to capture him. So Sam makes the call to Clara and them to be like, "Hey, there's a baby on board. Is it possible to possibly set up a meet to get this asthmatic baby off off the train? Set it up. Don't try anything stupid, Clara. Don't set me up. Still keep me going for John Bailey Brown, but I want to get this kid off of here." And Claire's like, "Yeah, we can do that." And he's like, "Look, I want to see a photo of the mom so I can verify that this is the person that we're having. I don't want any wool trying to be pulled over my eyes here. Like, let's keep this on the up and up." And so Sam then goes to Jess, who word about on the train is that she's a doctor, but she's actually a veterinarian, but doctor enough that she can kind of check on at least Benji to make sure that he's good enough so that we can get him off this train and he can make it to that point. And so she goes to assess him. She's looking at the kid, trying to make sure she gives her diagnosis. But while she's doing that, Sam noticed something off about her, specifically a rip in her jacket. Doesn't think much of it, but he's like, "Okay, I clocked that. That's odd for a veterinarian on the train. I don't think you would wake up and then get dressed and just have a hole in your jacket right out the gate." So she's like, "Okay, cool." Not thinking too much of it. So Marsha's boyfriend, O'Farrell, meets with his ex, who is basically gives him the download that Sam's involved in the hijacking that's happening right now in the train station. And that immediately sets him off like, oh, if that's happening and it's related to John Bailey Brown and all of this on your 1 year anniversary, I need Nick to go get Marsha now. Like, I know you tried earlier and she rebuffed your help. Go extract her now because something's about to go down. You need to just tell her, coming with me. He's about to get out of the car and go do that. And then those two rural neighbors that keep lurking around and saying, "Hey, how's it going, neighbor? You need some tea? Here's some flowers that are sent to you." Yeah, they shoot that mug in the head and he's dead. And so it's clear that they are the two that have been watching and keeping an eye on Marsha and surveilling her and sending photos back. On the train, May keeps digging and it keeps digging. So what we've seen, they tried to give us a red herring in the last episode in that when the shot happened with Freddie and he was found dead, May and another gentleman were standing side by side in that front cart, right? The other gentleman, I can't remember his name, but he's a longer haired gentleman. He's the one that they sort of said as a red herring is this is the person that killed Freddie. We know it's not going to be that simple, but May, because she saw him dead to rights there, she's like, okay, this is the guy that I'm watching. He's bleeding a little bit. He's got like a little cut up hand. Something seems off about him. So she's keeping her eye on him. She's asked Jess about him because Jess goes to check on him to make sure that he's treated well, like his cuts and blood is all okay. But May then follows him because eventually he goes back to the front cart because what happened is he's a druggie and he stashed his drugs under sort of like in a cubby area that has like a fan behind it. So it's kind of hard to get to. This is how he cut himself. So it wasn't because of the shooting. May also cuts herself a little bit on that too. But it's a druggie bag. And he only hid it there because he felt like when the red lights went off and everything was going down, he thought the police were going to come onto the train. So he's like, I can't have this. Like something's off. So he just freaked out. Not a big deal. He's clearly not the person who killed him. He just likes to get high. So he scurries back to the rest of the cabin with everybody else. Mind you, Sam sees May doing this, and this is again when he tells him, like, May, I remember you well from the intern. I remember you quite well. You wouldn't leave well enough alone. I need you to do that right now. And he starts cursing at her, but that ain't enough. You want somebody to believe in you the way that she believes in Sam. Just now ain't the time. and she's going to die for it. Because I eventually think that Jess is going to put together that how she feels about Sam and try to use May against Sam, because it's probably the one person that he has a deeper connection to on that train than anybody else. But Sam goes back to the father and it's like, cool, we got the meet set up, everything's gonna happen. I'm gonna get your baby off of the thing. Dad's like, cool, I get to go too. Sam's like, no, you don't know, you don't. Stay your ass right there. You ain't going nowhere. It's just the baby going. And then he's like, well, I'm not giving you my baby. He's like, cool, you're not. I'm gonna give it to Jess. So he feels comfortable enough. He gives it to Jess, and Jess and Sam head up to the front to hand off the baby to the mom, who is at the stop. Everything's set up there. Um, as they're getting off the train, Sam clocks that on the corner door while you're dropping down off of the train, there is a patch of cloth there that looks like it's a patch of cloth that comes from Jess's jacket. And he puts two and two together, and he sort of gives Otto the look like, there's the jacket, like, look at that. And they put together that, oh crap, Jess is the one who killed Freddy. They drop off the baby. She gets back onto the train, sits back down as if nothing has happened, but then they both give that look like, well, now we know. Now we know who that person is. And at the very least, although she may have a second phone on there, at the very least, she currently does not have a phone to connect with anybody outside. So that gives them a bit of a heads up because they can kind of be like, hey, there's a woman. If you look at her on that file that I sent you out there, she's the one that killed her. Find out who she is, find out who she's connected to, find out what her family is, find out about her because she's the person that is setting or a part of the team that is setting this all up. But it's a matter of when he gives that information, because he needs to keep up this guise as long as he thinks Marsha's in danger. Now, if he doesn't, if he gets the word that Marsha's fine, he can play this a little harder. For now, he's got to play it as cool as he can to not tip off to do something because he can't get in touch with Marsh, and he can't get in touch with O'Farrell, her boyfriend, to sort of like, hey, I got her, we're fine, continue on to push hard. And so for the first time, like I said, in a long time, this starts to feel like some of the intensity moments of when we got in that first season of Hijack. And now I'm hooked. Now I'm in. You got me. This was a little bit slower moving, maybe because for me, mainly because I knew the character of Sam. You had to do a little bit more hoops to get me to believe where we're at. But now he's not in control. Now he has to do what he can, talk his way out, work his way out, think about things outside. And I think the phone thing was one of those things like, oh, that's genius. You need to get these phones off this train. And for anything else that you don't know who the person is that is chiming out or saying out. But now nothing's going out from this train. So yeah, I'm in. I'm put it in my veins. It's not going to reinvent the wheel. It's not going to be the greatest thing that's on TV, but it's smart enough. And I think the show leans into the fact that it's happening in real time, like hour after hour after hour, and so that helps ratchet up the intensity. What did you guys think about this episode 4 called Switch on Hijack Season 2? Or leave your thoughts and comments in the comments below. If you haven't already, you can follow us on X at HollywoodADI. You can hit us up on email at HollywoodAlreadyDidIt@gmail.com. We also have a podcast with the same name. That's on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere the place podcasts. We're there. And like always, I got my ticket. You got yours.